I was on my way to work when suddenly I was hit on the head. A van pulled up next to me and I was thrown inside.
But sir, we already gave him a full dose. Who knows what could happen?
I don't care what could happen. Give him another dose. We need this ready for the investors.
It looks like I was dropped off in the middle of the woods, so I got to work punching some trees. I got a crafting table and made a wooden pickaxe. With my pickaxe, I gathered up some cobblestone and crafted some basic stone tools. I went down into the cave a bit more and grabbed some of the ores. I was able to get a decent chunk of iron, but really wanted some coal for torches. Leaving the cave, I spotted some chickens and I knew that I would need a source of food. Sorry, my chicken buddies. I grabbed a little bit more of wood and crafted up a furnace. I used my wood planks to cook up the chicken. With that done, I ventured off, finding some exposed ore. I grabbed it all up. Still no coal around. Coming outside, I spotted a witch hut, and since it was getting dark, I decided this would make a perfect spot to stay the night. I was surprised to find there was no witch, but I got to crafting a door and a little bit of protection from any skeletons that may be around. While I waited out the night, I cooked up my iron and made an iron pickaxe and sword. In the morning, it was time to venture out some more. I found some more chickens and made some shears for the sheep. No point in taking them down since they're not gonna drop mutton in older versions. Traveling until dark, I was able to find my first enemy. Here in the plains, as the moon began to rise, I grabbed a couple more logs and made a bed real quick. Next day, I took this guy down and finished this tree. Lucky for me, when I turned around, there was a village just chilling. Before going to the village, I spotted this pretty cool terrain generation and checked it out a bit. Could be a cool place to build. The villagers here didn't speak my language, but were very keen on letting me know what they were willing to trade. After this guy left, I may have stolen a bit of goods. Let's just toss this helmet on. I climbed up to the top of the little tower and gave the area a good look. I decided not to build here since the mobs will be spawning around me and could kill the villagers. And oh yes, finally a bit of coal. Now I have torches and I can light this whole area up. Now I gotta clean it all up with some shovels. I got to work. Looks like it's time for bed. Next day, some more work and grabbed up a bit of sand. And gonna need a good amount of logs. I know I'm going to need glass. I shoved all my stuff into a chest and called it a day. Next, I made some stone axes and headed over to the spruce forest. That was a good 2 days of grabbing logs. Now let's get a mining tunnel dug. And this time I wanted to make a nice double wide extra tall one. Few pickaxes and 3 days later I got a nice tunnel. Also went through a ravine and look what I found. Oh yeah. If you haven't already, join Pixelmon To Go. You can claim an exclusive backpack by using /waterspuppy in-game. They have many cool features such as voice chat, dancing emotes, costumes, and daily events such as huge boss battles. Also, entertainment shows where people can sing or perform. Here's what the textures and costumes look like in-game, and it's all in this amazing launcher. You can log in with your Mojang or Microsoft account. All you have to do is press play to start your adventure. Get the link in the description to download for free. Now for some cobblestone stairs. Ended up making about 2 stacks, and now time for the fun stuff. Once at the bottom, I dug out some spots for y = 11, and going up this it's much nicer than jumping. I threw some more chicken in the furnace and it looks like it's bedtime. Next day, I made a shovel and stone hoe and cleared out some of the dirt around. Just a bit of water and let's get a farm going. I know that it needs to be very well lit. Good thing I got a seed. Psh, who only plants one seed? Not me. And now down in the caves. Let's gather up those diamonds and all of the ores. Look who it is. Scary word. Once my pickaxes were gone, it was back to base and shoving stuff into chests and furnaces. Hey, my one little buddy grew. And now I decided to build an enclosure. This has to be the most basic looking Minecraft box house with big windows, but now with a cobblestone floor. With some stone, I cleaned up any imperfections and this place is looking pretty cool. Next day, it was time to gather up the rest of the ores in the ravine. And well, there's a whole lot. Also, also lit this spider on fire with my lava bucket, and it sounded like a zombie. Not sure what's going on there. Anyways, more ore gathering. Next day, I topped off my furnaces and harvested my small wheat field. The base doesn't look too bad from the outside. Now it's time to do some science. Gonna need this bath and liquid. I don't even want to try to pronounce it. I was able to craft up the electronic parts that I needed and got enough titanium from mining. This liquid is what I'm worried about. Spent the rest of the day looking at the wiki, and this item doesn't exist there, so I'll just substitute it for some emeralds since they're both green. Next day, I made a couple of pickaxes and started my strip mining journey, and already found some diamonds. I only had to go this far. Now with a diamond pickaxe, it was back to work. Found some more diamonds. Need to make some room for those and further in even more diamonds. They didn't go into my inventory, and I realized I didn't even grab the last two. Good thing I noticed. And then I found even more diamonds. And then I went straight into a mine shaft. This isn't scripted gameplay, I swear. I continued my tunnel until my iron pickaxe broke. Made a pretty good tunnel. Got this new ore since the mod updated. Legit has no crafting recipes. Nice. Let's go check on the villagers. Looks like they're talking about something. Hope I'm not interrupting anything. And okay, wow, they dipped out of here really fast. After looking at all the villagers' trades, I found some chickens and it was already getting nighttime. I decided my best course of action to get emeralds was the wool trade. Yeah, I got a few too many shears. But lucky for me, there are sheep all over the place around here and a lot of pigs. I heard some slimes and slime balls could be useful, so I dug down into a cave below and had a really close encounter with a creeper. And after fighting some mobs in the dark, I went for the slime and there were a few skeletons around and a creeper, so I didn't want to deal with that. So out I went and grabbed even more wool. Got almost a stack total, so I was able to get 3 emeralds pretty easily. Like I said, I can't find anything about how to obtain this item, and it doesn't even pop up a recipe, so with the power of throwing things into lava, boom, we got a bathtub. And wow, it's a really big bathtub. Surprised I can even carry it. I think I'll just stick it in the corner here, but before I decide to climb in this thing, let's clear out my inventory. Hopefully I don't explode. After laying in here for a while, my body shot up and out of the tank. I could feel an overpowering sensation, almost feeling superhuman. With all this power I feel, I tidied up my crops. But now we need to make the suit assembly unit to harness my true powers. Luckily I already got a bunch of black iron. The real problem is this monitor that needs a color filter. Also gonna need a generator to power the thing. I crafted up some of the things I could at the moment, and before I knew it, it was bedtime. I got my black iron in the furnace, which is needed for quite a bit of items. More farming stuff to do. Next, I crafted even more of the items that I could get done at the moment. Tossed all that stuff in a chest and went out to grab some flowers. Turns out I can jump super high. Red and blue dye are easy enough. Green is the real challenge. Now for the generator. I was able to get the engine made. Up next, I went around slaying as many pigs as I could. Need a ton of food for however long it's gonna take for me to find a desert. I ended up getting a stack +3. Also stopped to find some flint. Back home, I got my food in the furnaces and made a flint and steel. Let's not talk about why I need a flint and steel for food. More farm stuff, and in the morning, I headed out in search of a desert. If only I had some super speed running or something. A boat is really nice unless you're bad like me and break it. After traveling a bit, I found some doggies. I wanted to tame them, and I went and searched for some skeletons. The only thing I found is that I have night vision in dark caves. Also found a very odd looking ravine with no skeletons. More traveling, I ran into a village that had some carrots, which I harvested and replanted to be a nice guy. Well, until I stole from their chests. The village here is bigger than the one by my base, also has about the same trades. After grabbing up any fully grown wheat, I took refuge in one of the houses. Next morning, it was just a lot of traveling, until I was finally able to find a desert. And then my boat ran away from me. After I grabbed up a bunch of cactus, I spotted a desert temple. Fighting off some of the zombies, I headed inside. Hopping down in, I looted up the chests and was able to find a bunch of bones and also a single diamond. Also can't forget the TNT. Jumping out, I fought off some more zombies before grabbing more cactus. Well, got what I came for. Time to make my way home. Was able to find some dogs on my way home and use my bones to tame them. And after a long journey home, not only did I get cactus, but I made a few friends along the way. Now I was able to make the color filter needed for the polarized glass that is needed to make the monitor for this suit assembly unit. Let's put it right next to this vat of radiation. Now I just need to work on making the generator. Only part I'm missing is the temperature regulator. Also need to make some more aluminum, so down in the caves I go. I found if I break the torches and get rid of any light sources, I get my night vision, which is super nice for finding ores. Also, my super jump is pretty nice. Got a little bit more more than just aluminum, and let's get some of this stuff in the furnace and toss everything in the chest. Now I just need to get some packed ice, and lucky me, there's a snowy mountain just by me. But since it's getting dark, I harvested my wheat and headed to bed. In the morning, it was to the mountain. Breaking snow with a shovel has to be one of the most satisfying things. Making a second bucket at base, I got 2 water sources for unlimited water. Once I had 9 ice, I made a packed ice and crafted up the temperature regulator, and thus had the generator finished. Just shove this right here behind this. And with a little bit of power, she is up and running, and here is exactly what I'm going to need to craft this. Cool thing is the gladiator suit. Once I had finished looking at the suits, I heard a very strange noise. Walking outside, I didn't see anything, and no, we're going back inside. I immediately thought about going to bed, but I was just a little too curious. As I walked around, it was very, very loud. Not only terrifying, but creepers were dropping out of the sky. I ended up spotting a little poof, and that's when one of these things came rushing at me, but luckily, I'm in a tree, and tree is OP. I had no idea what this thing was, but it took a creeper explosion and then a lot of hits from my sword before dying. Didn't drop anything special. Turns out there are 2 of them. It wasn't moving, so I gave it a good smack and launched myself up to the trees. And this is when a literal zombie horde formed, and that strange creature was just going to town on the zombies. And I was just jumping up and down so I didn't get hit with acid spit. Once I saw an opening, I took it right into my base. And well, there was too many zombies around here for me to go to sleep, so I became the smartest man alive and just took my bed into the mines and went to sleep. Next day, there were still a few zombies left, but I took care of them. Well, my next task is to obtain blocks of radiation. I've seen these things around in the caves, and there is one thing I do not like about them, and that's when you pick them up. Yeah, it just does this until you throw them out of your inventory. I decided to leave it in the cave and went on to other parts needed for the suit. Going outside, there was plenty of flowers for me to grab, and with a bit of math, I have the perfect amount of purple wool needed. Now just to find some cows. But we can do that in the morning. Now to start the journey of finding cows. Also grab some wood for fences. I decided to take off into the plains and wasn't able to find anything around. Making my way into a savanna, I didn't see any cows, but spotted a desert. Wow, that would have been really nice to find earlier. After exploring a bit longer, I took down some sheep to make a bed since I didn't bring one. And just before I was about to head to bed, I found some cows. Next day was the fun stuff, leading the cows back to base. The amount of time it takes to slowly walk cows hundreds of blocks back to base is just straight up pain. But eventually I got them to the village where I threw them in one of the pens and bred my leather farm. I hope I never have to do that again. Well, now it's time to play around with radioactive blocks. I made a specific chest where the stuff needed for the Hulk suit will go, and well, I just started at the end of my mining tunnel and just started to grab up as many blocks as I could, and it almost became a game of how many blocks can I hold before my health starts to go down and I eventually die. I even had to fight off some creepers, which actually found me another radioactive block. I was able to get a good 12 blocks from that run, and now it's time for another one, but this time in the ravine. First, I made a mental note of where all the blocks were and then started the process, and it's kind of weird. For some reason, my brain just stopped working and I forgot where all the blocks were after I grabbed the first one. But hey, I was able to get 6 from that run. Next day, I needed to find some more, so back to strip mining and already found some diamonds. Also, I went through the whole pickaxe and there was only 1 block in the tunnel. Only 5 more to go. With some wheat gathering done, I headed over to the cows and got them breeded. Also got a bit worried the villager might let the cows out, so I grabbed a block and locked them in with the cows. Already the sun was setting. At home, I got attacked by a zombie. My dogs rushed in to save me. Since they were such good boys, I gave them a little treat. And this is when I remembered that I will now have another dog, so I made sure to look away. But the real issue is this mine shaft. Let's build up a little doorway, and well, these are gonna need to be moved. Once I had them placed down, everything was looking mighty fine. Some more wheat gathering, and I made my first loaves of bread. Next, I made some cobblestone pickaxes, and it's strip mining time yet again. I dug a hole up and spotted a spider. Using my super jumping, I was now in a cave. With a bit of mob battling done, I found my first block of radiation. Let's just move that over to the side. With 1, 2, 3, and 4 pickaxes gone, it's time to play Who Can Find the Most Radioactive Blocks. And with a bit of exploring in a nearby cave, I was able to get the last block needed for 24. Wheat time, cow time. Also, somehow one of them died. Up next, I need to collect as much string as possible for fabric. Guess I need to wait till nighttime. Hey, almost like magic. Heading outside, I was on the hunt for spiders. Werewolves? All I ended up finding was zombies, but was able to find a few spiders. Super jump when dealing with creepers is like like the best thing ever. With more mob killing and watching a small battle, I spotted a few more spiders and their fate was sealed. Was able to get 9 string from that night. Next day, it was more wheat harvesting and well, the cows weren't ready to be bred again. Ah yes, here we go, only took half of the day. This would be a pretty cool live background. For the night, it was back to more spider slaying. When that was all said and done, I only need 1 more string to get 25. So into the mines I went. Back in the caves from earlier, I was able to fight off a few mobs and before I knew it, I stumbled into a spider who was nice enough to drop me the one and only string I needed. Back at base, I crafted up my 20 fabric with my purple wool, did some more wheat stuff, and prepared my leather farm. Also, everything is red because the shaders sometimes glitch out. Now, the last item I need to obtain, a red gem, which will be no easy task. I decided to bring one of my more basic gems to the villagers to see if they had any idea about these. After saving a few villagers, the chief was more than happy to talk. He told me of a strange man who lives far into the east. He collects those rare gems doing all sorts of experiments on the dead. Dark magic so powerful it has corrupted the land around his house. But that's all he could say as he ran off saying his spies will hear. And just like that, I could see one of those spies lurking around. After taking care of him, I knew I would need to find this stranger in the east. Gathering up some more wheat, I made as much bread as I could and a diamond sword for extra protection. In the morning, with 20 diamonds in my inventory, I set off eastbound. Eventually, I made it to the snowy mountaintops, not the most ideal place to stay the night. Further into the next day, I spotted a structure on the mountain peak. Coming across the bridge, I can see what the dark magic has done to the landscape around this place. Guess it's time to see what's inside. It was very strange looking inside, and the only place I could go was down some trapdoors. Heading down the ladders, I triggered a trap. The stranger insisted that it was inactive at the moment. Coming inside, this place looked like a dungeon. There was blood on the ground and monsters trapped in cages. And then I spotted it, the red gem. I asked if it was for sale and I would pay handsomely. He turned his head and said it wasn't for sale. I then offered him 10 diamonds and he didn't like that at all, running into his room. I then doubled up my offer and he seemed to think about it a little bit more, but ultimately he refused my offer in an angry tone. Better to get out of this place before I end up like subject 28. On my way out, I spotted something that looked like it led outside. Once I had left this creepy place, I made sure to keep a watchful eye. Once it was nighttime, it was time to investigate. I didn't want to use the bridge to stay out of sight, so I scaled the cliffside and gave the area a good look around. And that's when I spotted a sewage tunnel of sorts. There he was, throwing something away. I sat waiting until it sounded like he left the house. I knew the trap must be activated, so I went in through this tunnel. The stench in here was terrible, but this was the only way to safely get in. Sneaking inside, it looked like the place was empty. Even the mobs had disappeared. What was he doing with them? Best not to think about it, let's just get what I came for. With the gem in hand, I made a run for it, but smartly I put the blocks back that I broke so he wouldn't know how someone got in. With a leap of faith, I made it out undetected. There was no way I could set up camp around here with this strange man looking for me, so I had to brave through the night. I ran all through the night until I reached the village the next day. With the gems safely put away, I bred up my cows before collecting some leather. With half of them gone, I only got 12, which is enough to make 1 chest plate and 1 pair of boots. But I did get a good amount of beef. I made some bone meal to speed up my crops, and now it looks like a real farm. With it already being nighttime, I headed to bed. Next day, I spotted someone lurking around, but they had nothing to say and nothing to trade. Maybe they'll drop something, and still no. Very interesting. Next, I worked on breeding the cows, and after waiting around for 2 days, I gave them the final pieces of wheat before collecting my reward. Just need to get 12 leather total. I killed 1 too many cows. Rip. See, I knew they would try to escape through that door. With the beef in the furnace, I made a leather cap and pants. With all the items in my inventory, I booted up the suit crafter. And well, I have everything except those evil tokens, about 4,000 short. With nighttime approaching, I know what I must do. Murder everything in sight. But that's not really murder since they will attack me, so self-defense with rewards? First night, I was able to get up a nice 1,500. After 2 more nights of battling the evil of the night, I had just enough to craft up the Hulk suit. Immediately, I began to grow into the Hulk. Being 3 blocks tall doesn't feel right, but having a shredded 6-pack, now that feels right. I wasn't able to fit through my small door unless I calmed down. A skeleton shot an arrow at me and it bounced right off. Attacking the skeleton, Hulk went crazy and began punching and jumping all over the place. I wasn't able to control him. With With that done, I found out I have some crazy super jumping now. Definitely didn't jump around for like 5 straight minutes. Returning back to base, Hulk went crazy again, bouncing around and swinging like a madman. I wasn't even in Hulk form when this happened. I did my best to stay away from the dogs, as the last thing I want to do is hurt them. When nightfall came, I decided to start killing mobs as Hulk to level him up. And I ended up finding a rare mob, a skeleton with a full set of diamond armor. Looking this up online, it has a 0.04% chance of happening in a survival world. Sadly, I didn't have any name tags and he didn't drop any diamond armor for Hulk. Back to fighting mobs, I found that using a diamond sword actually does more damage than just punching alone. I can even fight the werewolves now, but they did gang up on me, and using my smash ability, I slammed my fists on the ground and was able to take 2 of them out. After a full night of fighting, I found that Hulk looks pretty goofy when he runs, and well, it looks like I made him angry by saying that. Returning home, I have quite a bit of items. Also, my Hulk suit took a bit of damage, must have been those werewolves. When trying to go inside, Hulk told me he was too angry to calm down. How great. I ended up having to wait around for the big man to calm himself. Once I was inside, I remembered that I need to make a portable modular device if I actually want to level up. While crafting, Hulk burst into a rage and one of my dogs took a downfall because of it. So I decided to try and keep them safe by moving them to the corner of the room, and this was my biggest mistake yet. Hulk burst into anger, killing 2 of my dogs, and while trying to restrain him, the 3rd one suffered the same fate. Devastated by what happened, I didn't know what to do. My 4 friends were gone for good, and there's nothing I can do about it. I kinda just sat around in sadness for a while. I crafted up all the parts needed for the phone. All that mining in the start sure paid off. The phone can tell me everything about Hulk's powers, but the main thing is ranking up. I was able to get up to rank 3 and unlock Rumble and Thunderclap. When night came, it was time to smash. Thunderclap really launches enemies far away, and for the next few nights, all I did was grind away at mobs to get all of my abilities. Once I grinded enough points, I maxed out and had everything unlocked. My armor did take quite the beating though. In my phone, it does show I have regeneration, which regenerates health and durability. Before testing that, I want to test out my new abilities. Smash ability, smashing my hands on the ground for massive damage. Tectonic Fury, which seems more like I am just digging a hole rather than fighting. Rumble is kinda like Smash, just smaller. Rampage, I tuck in my arm and run. Guessing there needs to be mobs for me to do any damage with this. Last but not least, World Breaker. Everything lit up green. The ground explodes behind me as I run. Punching the ground turns dirt into small, tiny pieces. Returning home, it was time to let my armor repair, as it did regenerate from me messing around with the abilities. After a few days, I was full and ready to go. I was a little eager to try the World Breaker on some mobs, and it worked very, very well, as you can see. Next, I harvested up my wheat field for the last time and went to see the cows.
I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it.
Well, that wasn't my proudest moment, but it's one way to get the job done. I've been hearing rumors of a big city that is in the west, and I'm sure it's my hometown. After I got all my beef cooked up, I headed out. The super jumping is pretty dang nice. After a couple days of traveling and seeing Hulk in a boat, I arrived at the city in all of its glory. Bouncing around, I was on the search for revenge. Arriving at the skyscrapers, Hulk insisted this building is the correct one to find the people that took me. And sure enough, lurking around, there were a lot of guards. So I decided to make my entrance through the top. Bursting inside, I took out a few guards going into World Breaker. I was able to go through them easily, demolishing the building in the process. Hulk made easy work of these guys as I rammed into them, breaking their eardrums, and making my way down the building. The guards' numbers began to dwindle, but not before backup arrived. Jumping down from the tower, I began my rampaging through a group of them. With an explosion and a thunderclap shooting them back, some were afraid to mess with me. They began to realize my immense power and new numbers wouldn't save them. Once I finished the last few off, I made my escape from the broken streets. I went to the docks where I would hide on a ship. Hulk was too angry from all of the fighting, so I had a different way of getting inside. With a bed laid down before me, I completed my 100-day journey.